Hello everyone, in this video series, I will explain in depth what cross-site request forgery is, how to know if a website is vulnerable to cross-site request forgery, and ways to exploit cross-site request forgery vulnerability. This is the first video in the CSRF vulnerability series. Ensure you go through all the videos in this series in order to get an in-depth understanding of what cross-site request forgery is and how to exploit websites vulnerable to cross-site request forgery. If you're new to this channel or haven't subscribed yet, ensure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell button besides it. I teach ethical hacking here on this YouTube channel. If you're looking for where to learn or improve your hacking skills, you're presently at the right place. Cross-site request forgery, CSRF, also known as XSRF, CSRF, session riding, hostile linking, one-click attack, is a web security vulnerability that allows an attacker to induce an authenticated user to execute unintended actions. A successful CSRF attack can force the user to perform state-changing requests like transferring funds, changing their email addresses, submitting or deleting a record, purchasing a product, changing their password, sending a message, and so forth. With a little help of social engineering, an attacker may trick users of a web application into executing actions of the attacker's chosen, as the unsuspecting user is authenticated by the application at the moment of the attack. It's impossible to distinguish a legitimate request from a forged one. Cross-site request forgery attacks exploit the trust a web application has in an authenticated user. Conversely, cross-site scripting attacks exploit the trust a user has in a particular web application. The impact of a cross-site request forgery attack depends on the level of permissions that the victim has. Such attacks take advantage of the fact that a website completely trusts a user once it can confirm that the user is indeed who they say they are. There are two main paths to executing a cross-site request forgery attack. The first one is tricking the victim into clicking a link or loading a page. This is typically conducted using malicious social engineering, such as an email or link that tricks the victim into sending a forged request to a server. The second part is sending a crafted, legitimate-looking request from the victim's browser to the website. The request is sent with values chosen by the attacker, including any cookies that the victim has associated with that website. This way, the website knows that this victim can perform certain actions on the website. Any request sent with these HTTP credentials or cookies will be considered legitimate, even though the victim would be sending the request on the attacker's command. Let's say a victim wants to transfer $1,000 to an account. The request might look like this. The attacker could simply modify this request to something like this, making the transfer go to the attacker's account instead of the right person's account. This link may be placed in such a way that it's not even necessary for the victim to click the link. For instance, it may be embedded within an HTML image tag on an email sent to the victim, which will automatically be loaded when the victim opens their email. Once the victim has clicked the link, their browser will automatically include any cookies used by that website and submit the request to the web server. The web server will not be able to identify the forgery because the request was made by an authenticated user. To tell if a website is vulnerable to cross-site request forgery and to exploit a cross-site request forgery vulnerability, check out the next video in this series, and don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.